Hi there, welcome to the Aerodrome Finance Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. I've almost forgotten we have this session. I promised to do it again 2 weeks ago, so let's dive in right now, straight into the charts. Here, 2 weeks ago we asked the question, if that's the PSY, is it going to head to a buying climax at a similar level to the April 2024, around the key level of 2.03, this blue key level. However, it did not happen. It hasn't happened yet, let's put it this way. Instead, it has gone to, I'm going to adjust this line because it is not touching the buying climax over there. So here, it came down without going straight up. However, during PSY period, that can happen. So let me take away these two drawings. Last time, around the same level at 1.49, this key level, that light blue, the price came down after it tried to go beyond, but failed. And eventually, there is like 2-3 weeks consecutively finding support at around the same level, and eventually successfully passed the light blue level and challenge a higher key level with the buying climax. This time, what's different, however, is there's still 1 day and 6 hours left, but the price is currently below the green level. I'm not saying it cannot do that during the PSY, but compared to what happened last time, it briefly touched that level, not way deeper than it, and then it rebounded. Hopefully, one key factor is, hopefully, this week's candle with 1 day and a little bit left, it doesn't go lower than what we had during the week of 11th. So let me mark this purple line over here. So that's where, if you're bullish, you definitely don't want the price to go below this, because that's the very last point of support before it triggers a full retreat to an accumulation zone, in my view. Best, in the remaining 29 hours, it goes back to somewhere closer to 1.17, the green key level. So then there's still a chance for it to return, maybe some sideways trading, before it eventually goes up for a buying climax. That's quite optimistic assumption. That's assuming the buying climax will get to somewhere close to the previous buying climaxes back in 2024. So that's scenario number one. Scenario number two, unfortunately, the buying climax has already happened. So last week was actually the climax. And what we're seeing now is the automatic reaction. So let's use a different color to illustrate this. So assuming that's the buying climax. And what we're seeing now is the automatic reaction. Not saying that it's end of the world, because of the buying climax, the price can still go up for a second test, or maybe even an upthrust and upthrust of the distribution. So it's totally not eliminate the chance of going up. So there is still a chance to go up, just that the cycle would behave differently. So assuming it's going to come up for a second test in this case, instead of heading towards the buying climax as in the blue scenario, that's how it's going to play out eventually over the course of next few weeks. That's scenario 2. Scenario 3 is that there's basically no second test close to the light blue key level of 1.49. Instead, we see a last point of supply, much like this one over here during January. This one is the first scenario is a bit pessimistic, which is a good news for the bear team. If you're bearish, this is good news, because between now and the next session, this may happen. How fiercely? We have no idea yet, depending on whether the capital is being drawn to other altcoins. Much like Chronos, some crazy news came out and it sucked a lot of capital from other altcoins that probably a lot of people wouldn't expect such an outlier event happening like this. So back to here, this pessimistic scenario or bearish scenario, good news for the bears team, is that it shows an LPSY, not to this level, and then eventually come down for a sign of weakness. So the sign of weakness would be somewhere below this green key level. So those are the three scenarios I see having possibility to play out in the next 2 weeks before our next session. In terms of possibility, it's really difficult to guess now, because it's very tricky that Bitcoin and Ethereum is suffering a little bit of pressure. So if capital is being drawn out from those two leaders, the other altcoins, they may do a final stretch, but for this, that means the best chance is to shoot up somewhere above this light blue key level and then quickly return to a new accumulation cycle. So if this is a catch-up race for Aerodrome, I would say, let's assume is it's going to be really tricky. It's like 30% chance is the blue scenario. I would assume this take 50%, and 20% is without a second test at that level. That's my wild guess, because of judging from what the other crypto is performing lately. So let's go to the daily chart and see. 2 weeks ago we put in this tag over here. The offers of the distribution did not happen up there at the blue, but happened at the light blue key level. Hey, rock and roll. AERO will retrace because it did go up quite a bit. Yeah, it has started its retracement already actually. So I'm just about to explain it, thanks for asking. So this offers of the distribution has happened, and more importantly, I have explained this in Chronos chart. Aerodrome Finance is exhibiting the behavior exactly like I explained in Chronos. It hasn't happened in Chronos yet, but AERO is exhibiting it. So look at this upward channel box, the yellow box over here. This crazy surge up during mid-August, right after our somewhere after our session, or around our session. So 2 weeks ago it was around 16, so that's where the time we did our session, right there. So it went outside, did a little bit of surge again, but then received quite significant selling over there. It's getting very small and busy. Let me enlarge it so you see what I'm saying. This long wick over here means some significant selling going on. So this long volume bar includes that part of selling. So even though the price went up, it's not a good sign. And then we've got a pin over here, some support, but then eventually it died down. So what I'm trying to point out with the channel is the price drop or retrace now back into this upward channel. So that's what I said just now in the Chronos session. With a sudden price move outside of a channel box, the tendency is for the price to return to the norm, or where the momentum has been. This has been set up for 115 days. That's almost 4 months time well, actually it should be 4 months if I extend it all the way to the bottom. So that, apologies for the free notice, 1, 2, 3 days exactly to the point where the price gone outside of the box or the channel. So that's why after 20 days, less than 3 weeks, it eventually returned to this area. Not that it hasn't tried during the middle. Even the first few days it tried to return to the channel box, because the bears or even the bulls has been doing a lot of hard work over here, I believe. So while people FOMO in, some whales might have released their stock in hand to the smaller fishes, and now that the price is retracing or retreating back to the box, hopefully it's not going to get too bad. But if we combine the Wyckoff distribution method or cycle, the Wyckoff method and its distribution cycle, let's put it this way, that's the correct way of saying it, what we are seeing now is just the first leg downwards. That may just be the automatic reaction of the upthrust of the distribution. I usually call this AR3, while there was an AR2 up there for the upthrust. So after the AR3, the price may rebound from this level because of this purple line over here. You see, that's where the price started to jump up. So there may be a chance of a little bump before it fully retraces back to within the box and come to test the support level, both the bottom edge of the channel as well as this yellow key level at around 80 cents. 82 cents, roughly that range. So let's put a tag in, a couple of tags, because next time when we come back it will be 2 weeks later. There is already an LPSY over here. There would be another one coming, and then subsequently it would eventually come down to a sign of weakness. So these stages may happen within these 2 weeks before our next session. So there may be a chance of another LPSY in here. So if it really happens this way, in the chart it would look like something like this: 2 little peaks and then eventually a sign of weakness. The sign of weakness may not end at the yellow level. Why I'm saying it here? Because there's a double support at this level. I already mentioned this yellow line as well as the bottom edge of this upward channel box. Hopefully it's going to stay there for the bulls for eventually price climb, but it's not going to be that easy because it's coming down from the buying climax. If it is a yellow scenario. If it is a blue scenario, 30% chance, there is a chance that it goes up and retests these couple of levels again, the blue ones over there, those key levels. If it doesn't, if it really comes down from there, it can accumulate between the orange and the yellow key level. The accumulation doesn't, well, basically it was also there sometimes. So what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to go all the way to the orange to start accumulating. It can accumulate somewhere in the middle. So not going as deep as the orange level, it can go just around or right below the yellow after showing this. So this may not be a sign of weakness in that case. That can be a selling climax and then accumulate here before another move upwards. So if that happens around the yellow key level, what it means for the weekly chart is that it may come down close to here and then eventually accumulate and go up. So those may be lower level sign of weaknesses, but then it will go up for an upthrust in that case if it's the yellow scenario. if it's the blue, it doesn't really make sense because the buying climax hasn't happened. If it goes that low, that means the blue it's not the blue scenario already. It can just be the yellow scenario. So whether it's going to have just one sign of weakness at around the green level and rebound, or is it going to come down to show us two and eventually an upthrust, that's another additional scenario over here. So I've covered 4 different scenarios. This coming down, I would consider this part of the 50% scenario. So there is the 50% A scenario and the 50% B scenario. Both will eventually some movements upward back to around the light blue key level at least. So not going all the way down to a new accumulation. That's the explanation of all these. So thanks for joining me to the AERO session. Hope the yellow scenario, at least the positive one, would happen. Best if it's the blue scenario, because that's where I believe the supporters would want it to be, at least somewhere close to the last distribution cycle back in end of 2024.